Hello and welcome to Raju Notes channel, your pit stop for weekly current affairs updates. The updates tailor-made for students taking all kinds of competitive exams like UPSC, civils, defense and placement interviews. Please subscribe to the channel and stay updated every Sunday.
At least 32 people have been killed and 20 others wounded after heavy fighting in a disputed region claimed by both Sudan and South Sudan on Sunday. Local media reported unknown gunmen attacked two villages in the southern part of the Abyei administrative region. It said intercommunal and cross-border clashes have escalated since South Sudan deployed its troops in the contested territory in March. The Security Council last week voted unanimously to renew UNICEF's mandate until November 2024. The UN said that more than 9,000 people have been killed since the conflict erupted in mid-April, displacing millions of people within Sudan and into neighboring countries. Right-wing libertarian and ex-TV pundit Xavier Milei has been elected as Argentina's next president after the country's economy minister Sergio Massa conceded defeated in a speech. The results showed that Milei, who is a self-proclaimed anarcho-capitalist and had announced his entry into politics in 2020, had nearly 56% of the votes. His main slogan was "Long live freedom, damn it." The new government in Maldives under President Mohammed is reviewing more than 100 agreements signed with India, a senior Maldivian official said, adding that 77 Indian military personnel are present in the island nation. The agreement was signed by former President Ibrahim Mohammed Solih. Maldives has formally requested India to withdraw its troops. Amid deepening relations of Maldives with China, Muizu said that the island nation is too small to entangle itself into a geopolitical rivalry. India's Pankaj Advani has lifted the 26th world title as he won the World's IBSF Billiards Championship 2023 in Doha, Qatar on Tuesday last week. Pankaj defeated opponent Saurav Kothari with 1,416 margin in the finals. On Monday, Advani stormed into the finals with a convincing victory over fellow Indian Rupesh Shah. He defeated Gujarat Kuiset 900 to 273. The semi-finals saw a break of 259 and 176 from the champion, while Shah managed a 62 break only in the 900 up format. The 14th India-Australia Foreign Ministers Framework Dialogue concluded in Delhi on Tuesday last week. External Affairs Minister Dr. S. Jaishankar and Australian Foreign Minister Penny Wong discussed various aspects of the bilateral ties, regional and multi-regional issues. In a joint press briefing in New Delhi, External Affairs Minister Dr. S. Jaishankar said that during the dialogue, both countries discussed close collaborations in trilateral, quadrilateral and multilateral formats and also exchanged perspectives Indo-Pacific and West Asia. He said both countries have expressed their commitment to build a more trusted, reliable and self-reliant supply chain in the Indo-Pacific region. Indian Navy, in association with Defence Research and Development Organisation, successfully undertook guided flight trials of the first indigenous developed naval anti-ship missile from Sea 42B helicopter on Tuesday last week. This is a step towards achieving self-reliance in niche missile technology, including seeker and guidance technology. Israel has designated Pakistan-based Lashkar-e-Taiba as a terrorist organization to mark the 15th year of commemoration of the 26/11 terror attacks in Mumbai, the country's embassy in India said on Tuesday last week, adding that Indian government didn't request such a thing. It called Lashkar-e-Taiba a deadly and a reprehensible terror organization responsible for murders of hundreds of Indian civilians. The United Arab Emirates has inaugurated the world's largest single-site solar power plant ahead of the upcoming United Nations Climate Change Conference COP28. The 2 gigawatt Al Dhafra Solar Photovoltaic Independent Power Project (IPP) is located 35 kilometers from Abu Dhabi city and will generate enough electricity to power almost 2 lakh homes. The plant is expected to displace 2.4 million tons of carbon emission annually. The project also aligns with the UAE's net zero 2050 goal, reinforcing its leadership in solar energy production on a per capita basis. The country will host the United Nations Climate Change Conference from November 30th to December 12th this year. The militaries of Philippines and the United States launched joint patrols on Tuesday in the South China Sea. The move is likely to fan further tensions as China has warned the Philippines against the activities with the United States. The exercise is also being called as Philippines' defense posture amid China's aggressive activities in the highly strategic waters, long seen as a potential flashpoint between the United States and China. However, China's embassy in Manila did not immediately respond to a request for a comment on the exercise. According to a Philippine military statement, the joint marine and air patrols are taking place in the area of Batanes Islands and heading west to the South China Sea. South China Sea has become more dire than it was before, with the Chinese military inching closer to Philippines' coastline. The Indian Armed Forces contingent comprising of 81 personnel departed for Australia on Wednesday to take part in the second edition of joint military exercise Austra Ind 23. The exercise will be conducted Perth in Australia till 6th of next month. According to Ministry of Defence, the Indian Army contingent comprises of 60 personnel from the Battalion of Gorkha Rifles. The Australian Army contingent comprising of 60 personnel will be from the 13th Brigade. Indian Navy and Indian Air Force personnel will also participate from the Indian side. The Australian contingent will include 20 personnel each from the Royal Australian Navy and the Royal Australian Air Force, the ministry said. The exercise is aimed to foster collaboration, partnership, and share best practices between the two sides. The exercise will also promote interoperability while undertaking multi-domain operations. The joint exercise will promote the exchange of ideas and jointly rehearse tactics, techniques, and procedures for conducting tactical operations. In a major development, Israeli cabinet has approved a 4-day ceasefire deal with Hamas that would bring temporary halt in war-torn Gaza. As part of the deal, Hamas is set to free 50 of the roughly 240 hostages it is holding in Gaza Strip. Israel said it would extend the ceasefire by additional day for every 10 hostages released. Israel also agreed to permit additional fuel and large amounts of humanitarian aids into Gaza. Earlier, it had blocked fuels and aid supplies to Gaza, fearing it could benefit Hamas, even as the besieged Palestinians faced unprecedented humanitarian crisis. However, Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu said Israel would resume its offensive against Hamas after the ceasefire expires. North Korea has successfully placed its first spy satellite into the orbit. Its space agency, National Aerospace Technology Administration, said this was North Korea's third attempt after 2 failures from the earlier this year. North Korea has previously notified Japan that it is planning to launch a satellite between November 22nd and December 1st. The launch was condemned by US and its allies. NASA said its Laser Space Communication System, Deep Space Optical Communications or DSOC, recently beamed a near-infrared laser encoded with test data from almost 16 million kilometers away. DSOC, riding on a spacecraft, has been used to send data from far beyond the moon for the first time. The experiment paved the way for sending humans to Mars, NASA said. India and Lithuania held meetings to strengthen maritime bilateral relations in New Delhi on Thursday. The ministry said that both sides discussed the unique advantages of the Klaipeda port. They highlighted the opportunities for mutual collaboration in the field, considering India's expertise in port infrastructure development and Lithuania's strategic position as a gateway to the important industrial regions in this Eastern Europe. Port of Klaipeda is the leading Baltic port for containers transshipment. A Qatari court has accepted the appeal filed by the Indian government against the death penalty given to 8 former Indian Navy personnel, several reports suggested. The court reportedly said that they were studying the appeal and the next hearing is expected soon. The personnel were arrested in August last year and they were given the sentence last month. And now for the segment where we see the events that unfolded itself this week back in history. 19th November 1977, Anwar Sadat's visit to Israel. After the Arab-Israel War of 1973-74, Egyptian President Anwar Sadat began to work towards peace, and on this day in 1977, he began his historic visit to Israel, during which he offered a peace plan to its parliament. 20 November 1910, Mexican Revolution launched by Francisco Madero. On this day in 1910, Francisco Madero launched a failed revolt that nevertheless sparked the Mexican Revolution by inspiring hope in such leaders as Pancho Villa and Emiliano Zapata, who then mobilized their ragged armies. 21st November 1620, signing of Mayflower Compact. On this day in 1620, 41 male passengers on the Mayflower, prior to landing at the Plymouth, Massachusetts, signed the Mayflower Compact, by which they agreed to abide by the laws of the new government which they would establish. November 1963, US President John F. Kennedy assassinated. The most notorious political murder in the recent American history occurred on this day in 1963, when John F. Kennedy, the 35th US President who ruled from 1961 to 63, was shot and killed in Dallas, Texas, while riding an open car. 23rd November 1855, Ley Uras passed. Passed this day in 1855 in Mexico, Ley Uras abolished special courts for the clergy and military in attempt by Justice Minister Benito Juarez to eliminate the remnants of colonialism in Mexico and promote equality. November 1642, Dutch recovery of Tasmania. Dutch navigator Abel Janszoon Tasman, who sailed from Batavia, Jakarta, to investigate the practicality of a sea passage eastwards to Chile and explore New Guinea, skirted the southern shores of Tasmania this day in 1642. November 1970, Japanese military base seized by Mishima Yukio. On this day in 1970, Japanese novelist Mishima Yukio and 4 members of the Shield Society, a private army formed to preserve Japan's martial spirit, seized a military headquarters in Tokyo, and he later committed seppuku.
Well, that's all, friends, for this week's updates. See you soon next Sunday on the same channel. Till then, take care. Bye bye.